Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Overseas Markets Online Briefing Series, jointly presented by MDEC and Cyberport Ecosystem Development. My name is Aaron, your host for the event. Both MDEC and Cyberport have recently agreed on an arrangement for mutual facilitation of its community technology companies to expand into Hong Kong, Greater Bay Area or GBA, Malaysia and ASEAN countries. Today's event kickstarts this collaboration between the two, and we will be sharing some latest updates with you, our audience. Now, first up, we would like to ask Ms. Ivy Chen, Head of Ecosystem Development, Hong Kong Cyberport, for the opening remarks. Thank you, Ivy.
Thanks, Aaron. Hi, everyone. On behalf of Hong Kong Cyberport, a very warm welcome to you all. Today's webinar was jointly organized with our Malaysia counterpart, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC. With a population of over 30 million and a GDP of around 360 billion US dollar, Malaysia is a market with great opportunity for Hong Kong startups. Given that the ASEAN region country continues to boom, Malaysia's central geographical location in the region, young and digital savvy population, and multicultural and multilateral tapestry offer new market opportunities for the I&T sector, and especially for startups. MDEC has been leading the development of the digital economy in Malaysia. It has developed and implemented various first-mover digital initiatives and programs. We are honored to partner with MDEC to promote mutual inbound and outbound support for startups. In the past few years, Cyberport startups such as Klook and Shopline have expanded their footprint into Malaysia. We hope today's event and our long-term collaboration with MDEC will encourage more Hong Kong startups to capture the huge business opportunities offered by Malaysia and ASEAN. As Hong Kong's digital technology hub, Cyberport is home to about 1,600 startups and technology companies and thousands of dream makers. We welcome Malaysian startups to join Cyberport and leverage our platform to expand their business into Hong Kong and tap into the mainland market. We provide a holistic program supporting startups at each stage of their journey. Startups can receive financial assistance of up to 1.1 million Hong Kong dollar for solutions development, market expansion, and upscaling. In addition, Cyberport utilizes its extensive business and investment networks to connect startups with enterprises and investors. Today's webinar is a golden opportunity for tech companies in Hong Kong and Malaysia to develop a deeper understanding of their respective markets, as well as how MDEC and Cyberport can support their development. In the following session, our community member, GoBuddy, a Malaysian software company offering cloud solutions, will also share their experience of expanding business into Hong Kong. Wish you all a fruitful session. Thank you.
Okay. Now here's our mission statement. We aspire to be the leading one-stop engagement point of digital technology for enterprises' digital transformation and to create key economic driver for Hong Kong. As mentioned by Ivy earlier, we are home to a digital community of around 1,600 members over the years, with more than half is on-site at Cyberport, either on campus or at co-working space we call Smart Space, accommodating local and international companies that represent a variety of businesses and technologies. Next, it shows the person in charge nationality distribution of those on-site non-local companies, 20% from mainland, 70% from US, and so on and so forth. And it just shows the diversity of our community. And we really want to create an environment where people can communicate freely and exchange ideas without any obstacles. This is what makes and reflects Hong Kong a truly international city. And as far as fundraised by our startups is concerned, we're standing strong at 15.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. We began tracking from 2011, and for this fiscal year up to January 2021, our startups raised nearly 2.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. Startups including 4 unicorns from Cyberport, and they are TNG, GoGoX, Cloak, and WeLab. Now, speaking of funding, how do we support our entrepreneurs from Cyberport's perspective? Now, we begin in a very early stage by providing specialized programs like CUPP, Cyberport University Partnership Program, which we work with the majority of local universities and higher education institutions. They are a series of workshops and trainings aiming to identify young talents early on. Hopefully, they spark those innovative minds, and if they ever want to turn the idea into POC, proof of concept, they can then apply for the Cyberport Creative Microfund, or CCMF, with a seed funding of 100,000 Hong Kong dollars, lasting for 6 months. As one of our own unicorns, GoGoX, previously branded as GoGoVan, had a humble beginning as microfund applicant, which is now valued well over 1.2 billion US dollars. Now, after CCMF, they can then apply for the Cyberport Incubation Program, or CIP, 24 months, $500,000 Hong Kong dollars as financial assistance. We're going to touch a bit more on that in just a while. And to assist Cyberport incubatees, CCMF grantees, and alumni to be ready for international market development, Cyberport Accelerator Support Program, or CASP, provides a maximum of 300,000 Hong Kong dollars financial assistance for them to join local or global accelerator programs. Graduates of CIP and CCMF are offered financial subsidy of 200,000 Hong Kong dollars within 2 years to develop mainland and overseas market via MDSS scheme, or Overseas Mainland Market Development Support Scheme. For startups with greater potential, they will be invited to apply for CMF Macro Fund, a co-investment fund totaling 200 million Hong Kong dollars, each application maxed at 20 million Hong Kong dollars. CMF has been very successful in getting engagement within the investor circle. So far, for every dollar invested, it attracts 10 extra dollars from lead investors. Here we're showing what selection and vetting criteria are for CIP. 30% on market viability with milestones and contribution to Cyberport's strategic clusters. 20% on quality and competence of the management team. 20% on business scalability. Also 20% on functional prototype or product secured by design to solve a real problem. Last 10% on innovativeness. Next, some eligibility guidelines for CIP. Okay, remember still our mission statement on creating economic driver? How does Cyberport achieve that? By strategically focusing in 3 main areas: driving industry development, developing talents, and integrating traditional and new economy. Now we dive deeper here for driving industry development. We first look at what the market needs, understand where it's heading. We then turn to startups. What are the strengths? What cluster they're focusing on? From then, we define a sustainable development structure, and we have this 3+3 cluster development model. From the technology layer, we have AI and big data, blockchain, and cybersecurity. For the application layer, we have fintech, smart living, and digital entertainment and esports. Now, despite the challenges of the past year, sustained developments in those 6 clusters are set to continue as these technologies underpin the world's digital transformation and play to Hong Kong's strengths. Fintech. By collaborating with government agencies and industry bodies, Cyberport has established a very successful fintech ecosystem, currently home to more than 370 fintech firms, the largest of its kind in Hong Kong. These firms are focused on the innovation and application of blockchain, mobile payment, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, big data, automated transaction, and so forth. Cyberport is also planning to extend the successful model of its fintech ecosystem to other digital geographies, such as e-commerce, AI, and big data, in order to align with the industry and market needs, to drive the ongoing digital transformation and to contribute to the building of smart cities. Ever since the release of the revised guideline on authorization of virtual banks by the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, or HKMA, Cyberport has intensified efforts to match enterprise-ready fintech startups with banks and other virtual bank applicants. Popular fintech solutions, including eKYC, anti-money laundering, biometric identification, identity authentication, financial planning, loan and credit, AI, big data, and etc. One of our startups, Gecko Labs AI solution, is now adopted by the Securities and Futures Commissions, or SFC, of Hong Kong, as well as the Hong Kong Exchange and Clearing Limited, or HKEX. These endeavor further Cyberport's commitment to support the fintech community. Smart living. As of January 2021, nearly half of our community companies are smart living or smart city companies here in Cyberport. With 5G fast rolling out in Hong Kong and across the world, and smart living is becoming a reality, Cyberport's vibrant startup ecosystem and comprehensive entrepreneurial business, technology, and investment support programs stand ready to empower our startups' 5G and smart city aspiration and business plans. We have a strong foundation for developing these new businesses. The past year saw a strengthening of our smart city cluster with many new startups joining. And we have been helping our startups to venture into new areas, including retail tech, green tech, clean tech, ag tech, and medical tech. Digital entertainment. Cyberport's efforts to develop Hong Kong's esports ecosystem shifted into high gear for the past 2 years, when we opened the highly anticipated esports venue to boost local competitions, unveiled a series of events to galvanize engagement, launched programs to drive industry development and talent cultivation. Our goals are to forge a new industry of Hong Kong that will offer new prospects for the youth. Our initiatives were well received, with the Digital Entertainment Leadership Forum, or DELF, attracting more than 700 participants and 40 speakers from 9 different economies, including Hong Kong, UK, Germany, Israel, Korea, Japan, Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia, on the business opportunities and career prospects of this fast-growing industry. The DELF main forum was immediately followed by Asia's first blockchain gamer Connect Summit, connecting mobile game market players with the blockchain industry. Okay, now so far, everything that you have seen is also part of the journey for our startups, and it won't be complete without the resources put in by Cyberport. These groups of resources form the essential Cyberport facilitation networks. Cyberport Enterprise Network and Cyberport Technology Network, or CEN and CTN, are where my team falls into the picture. For CEN, we work with enterprises who share the pain points and the desire to transform and challenges they face when trying to improve the current business operations. Our business matching associates then map those with our startups' innovative solutions and make meeting arrangements via a series of business matching events between the two parties. Now for CTN, and over the years, we have been partnering with many technology giants, including Microsoft, AWS, Google, IBM, AliCloud, and etc., who work to collaborate with our startups by providing the latest technologies and partnership and co-selling opportunities. On one side, of course, they're looking for business opportunities, but on the other, they consider it as a platform to fulfill their social responsibility as well. For Investor Network and Professional Network, or CIN and CTN, they are the specialized teams with rich investor connections and relationship with professional associations, groups, and consultancy firms from all over the world. We are all working very hard by setting up those partners' connections and getting both sides the right momentum. Hong Kong being the most international city in Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area, and even in China, is capable of developing into an international I&T hub with our strong research and development capabilities, world-class universities, advantage as a global and market-oriented economy, robust legal system, and intellectual property rights protection regime, coupled with the government's efforts. Hong Kong is at an excellent opportunity to promote the Greater Bay Area overseas to attract foreign capital and talents. Now, here are some of the pivotal lending partners for GBA, just for your reference. And they assisted over 30 of our incubatees expanding into GBA, including GoGoX, MedGaze, and Cloak. Cyberport bring all these resources together, and they form a market access support ecosystem, aiming to provide our startups with everything they need at their fingertips when venturing into GBA, no matter their facilitation, networks, lending support, mainland market policy knowledge and understanding, funding subsidies, market events and updates, and etc. All right, last but not least, as we are all aware, we have been ravaged by, for the past 12 to 15 months during the pandemic. As we are entering the post-COVID times, things are being planned for the economy recovery and social and synergetic reestablishment. We welcome our international partners and the startup companies to come and visit us in the near future. We have made available space when you visit Cyberport, and here is the Cyberport Partner Zone. The Partner Zone serves as an interim workstation that assists overseas startups to run the business in Hong Kong with support of complementary working space. Please stay tuned for more. All right, that's it for me. Thank you. So next, a warm welcome to Mr. Ryan Chen, Head of Global Business Development, to give us an overview of Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or MDEC. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Thanks, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, Ivy, and the rest of the team in Hong Kong Cyberport. It is indeed something that's very exciting for us to look forward to, this partnership between MDEC and Cyberport, exploring how we can connect our different ecosystems across two countries, and exploring the potential partnerships and collaborations that we can build out from this partnership and collaboration working together. So allow me to take the next few minutes to run you through the ecosystem of Malaysia, some of the things that we do. Perhaps from there you can identify certain opportunities for you to latch onto in Malaysia and Southeast Asia in general. So let me just share my screen. Yeah, so for us, what we're looking at is that we aspire, to make Malaysia to be the heart of digital ASEAN, and what that means is that to really put Malaysia in the center as the hub for all things digital. And if you're familiar with the geography of Southeast Asia, and that's the map that I'm showing here, Southeast Asia comprises roughly about 10 countries, and Malaysia is actually right in the middle, so very strategically located. Right in the center. We are the one that is in red, and it is such that we are able to be connected to almost all major cities and all countries within the Southeast Asia region in less than 4 hours. In fact, I think from Malaysia to Hong Kong, it's probably 4 hours by flight. And this is important because when we look at this region as a whole, it is one of the fastest growing economic regions in the world. By population, the entire region is third in the world, one of the youngest workforces, and one of the fastest rising economies with spending power. Looking at the recently released Google report, despite the pandemic that we were hit by last year, the internet economy continued to grow, adding 5% in 2020 to $105 billion US. And in fact, from that report, you will see that they also mentioned that the pace of new users adopting digital services actually accelerated in the last year, and we added more users in Southeast Asia compared to the 5 years before. So obviously, you know, the combination of the pandemic and the readiness and the maturity of the technologies that's available to us has accelerated the shift. So much so that by 2025, Google expects that the internet economy would be worth well over $300 billion US. Having said that, of course, you know, we've seen that with this, you know, certain sectors have been hit. Sectors such as online travel, retail has been hit, but that has been offset by other areas such as e-commerce and also financial services. Okay. Some numbers to give you a flavor in terms of how Malaysia is positioned within the world and also within the region. We've received some very notable awards and recognitions from global organizations when it comes to competitiveness, when it comes to ease of doing business, and even innovation. So if you look at the rankings here, you know, generally we are number 1 and number 2 in the whole region. And in fact, if I can draw your attention to one of the rankings here, the talent index, the global talent index, among all the upper middle income group, Malaysia is ranked top in this list. And that, I think, speaks very well of the ability for the country to be able to churn out talent to take advantage of this new economy. This is something that's a bit more recent. This was released sometime last year, where we worked with Startup Genome to profile the ecosystem of Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur is the capital city, or rather the business capital of Malaysia. So when they looked at the startup ecosystem in Kuala Lumpur, they ranked KL 11th out of 100 emerging ecosystems all around the world. And you know, if we drill down further by enterprise value, we're ranked 3rd, and we rank favorably as well when it comes to emerging talent and also performance of our startups among the ecosystems. So that again speaks of the vibrancy of the ecosystem that we have and the startups that we have in the country. One of the things that I noticed also, which would be maybe an interesting overlap, interesting areas that we can look into when it comes to collaborating with Hong Kong, is that the report also highlights 2 areas that we have particular strengths in. Number 1 is fintech, in particular Islamic fintech. So you will see that there are quite a number of fintech companies in Malaysia, and there is a burgeoning environment when it comes to incubating Islamic fintech. And Islamic fintech is interesting in particular as well, because when we look at the market size, it is a very significant market. I think worth well over 12 trillion, if I remember correctly, at the overall Islamic market. And then obviously financial services plays a huge role. And again, when we zoom in into some of these rankings for Islamic fintech, Malaysia ranks number 1 around the world as well. The other area, which would be perhaps of interest also, is in the area of what we call digital creative content. So in areas of animation and games development, we do see a lot of foreign studios setting up their operations here to develop content. And there is also quite a number of local animation studios developing their own IPs as well, coming up with their own movies, TV shows, and so on. So those are perhaps 2 things that we have maybe in common with Hong Kong, and would be interesting to see how we can work together on this. So that was where we are now, and looking back at how we started. So all this started way back in 1996, and the organization that I represent, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, we are a government agency, and we were started back in 1996. And the whole reason for this is because the government realized that we had to transform the economy. We were very much a economy reliant on commodities and agriculture, right? And the way forward would be to go on to the information and knowledge economy, right? Which is what we have today, and that is what we know as a digital economy today. So over the years, we've been working on multiple prongs. Number 1, attracting foreign companies to come into Malaysia to set up operations, and as you can see from the logos here, I think we've been able to attract a fair number of multinationals to come in here, setting up shared services and so on. We've also been able to incubate quite a number of local companies in various different sectors, whether it's into semiconductors and fintech, in business solutions, government solutions, and so on. And many of them have spread their wings and gone on into the global stage. So coming back again to where we are, why digital is important? Because when we look at the composition of the GDP of the country, digital economy actually comprises about 19% of our GDP. And the aspiration is that it would exceed 20%, expected to hit about 22 or 23% in 2025. And so that is a significant contribution to our economy. And despite the fact that we may not have a very sizable population, about 30 over million, but in general, the population is covered with the necessary infrastructure for connectivity and so on, and relatively tech savvy. So we do believe that this provides a very unique a test market, if you will, right, for companies that are looking to expand and to look into expanding into Southeast Asia in particular. Right, so you will see that based on the statistics I shared earlier, based on the accolades that I shared earlier, we are a business-friendly country where it's relatively easy to come in to set up your operations. And now couple this with the demographics that we have here, then it gives you a pretty good launching pad into general Southeast Asia. And I think coupled on top of that is also the multicultural mix that we have here in Malaysia, where we have a pretty sizable population of Chinese and Chinese speaking or even Cantonese speaking population. So I think that also sort of reduces the friction, if you will, for Hong Kong startups to come into Malaysia and be able to adapt and assimilate a lot faster. And then with that population, which is not too big and not too small, for you to be able to test out, where it fits within the general Southeast Asian market, and then from there to quickly expand. The multiculturalism of Malaysia comes in handy as well, because most of us would be able to speak multiple languages, and that would be an advantage when we go into the larger Southeast Asian market. I just want to share with you a snapshot of what was launched recently. This is the recently launched Malaysia Digital Economy Blueprint. So this sets out the medium to long-term aspirations of the country in the next 10 years when it comes to digital economy. Overall, one of the key things we've highlighted on the right-hand side here is, like I mentioned, to be able to bring up the contribution of the digital economy to our GDP, to groom local unicorns. I think the target is at least 2 by 2025. And then, basically one of the key things is also to transform government services to go fully digital, fully online, and to be able to accept cashless payments across all channels. And of course, very important as well, as in all economies and all countries, to create jobs and to create high value, high skilled jobs in the new economy. So we've seen all that, and it's all laid out here again. We've spoken about the environment, the location, and so on. I just want to zoom into a couple of things here. Would be number one, the incentives and support that's available. We do have what we call the MSC status for qualified companies. So if you meet the conditions and if you're able to meet all the KPIs that's set out, this allows you up to a maximum of 10 years of tax exemption on qualified activities. Now, on top of that, that also allows you to bring in what we call foreign knowledge workers on a fast-track visa program. Now, aside from that, we do have another program that we call the Malaysia Tech Entrepreneur Pass, and that is very much targeted towards founders and co-founders. So, if you're a founder or co-founder of a company and you want to come in here, this is the program for you where you can apply and get up to a 5-year working visa into Malaysia. Right. For those aspiring entrepreneurs who may not have the necessary experiences yet, you can still apply, and that allows you up to a maximum of 1 year to come in here, understand the market, connect with the local ecosystem, and do your business. And this is supported by what we call the Malaysia Digital Hubs. These are co-working spaces that we partner with and we work together. And through these digital hubs, we bring in complementary services, so such as business support services, accelerators, incubators, mentors, investors, and so on. So that creates a community and a network for you to get in touch with. And that really forms a key part of our tech ecosystem. Just zooming in into the organization that I come from. So these are the three focus that we want to drive through all our programs. Number one, to ensure that we have the right kind of talent coming through the pipeline, the right kind of talent in with the right skills, right, for the new economy. So we work with all the universities, training institutions, and so on to upskill, reskill as necessary. We work with businesses of all sizes. So what we really want to look in here is to provide end-to-end support, right? So it's about incubating our startups, making sure that we give them the right environment to grow and thrive, to then, when they are scaling up, to be able to help them to globalize the operations and their products. And then on the other hand, is to look at the SMEs or the traditional companies that we have, and how do we then also help them to digitalize their operations. And then last but not least is also we continue to look into foreign direct investments into Malaysia, particularly in the areas that we would like to focus on would be, animation, games, data centers, and so on. The programs that we run, I think, you would find that it is pretty much similar to what Cyberport is doing in terms of focus areas. Cloud technologies, IoT, AI, content, fintech, and so on. The other area that we've also been performing pretty well in is drone tech, where we've got quite a number of drone companies coming out of Malaysia and doing pretty well globally. So this is the program that we have for all local companies and for companies that relocate their operations into Malaysia. And this is really very much a program that is intended to help companies to globalize onto the global stage. And we call it GAIN program. And that basically stands for Gateway, Amplify, Invest, and Nurture, 4 things that we do. So, Gateway, it's essentially creating pathways and creating ecosystems for you to connect to when you want to expand into a new market. Amplification is about working together with you to amplify your success through the media. Investment, it's, as it says, connecting companies to VCs, PEs, and other kinds of investors for you to raise capital to fund your business. And Nurture is very much the aspect of the program that focuses on capability development to provide entrepreneurs the right skill sets to grow the company. So some of the successes that we've seen coming out of the Malaysian ecosystem in the past few years, we saw these different companies. Like I mentioned, Aerodyne, one of the drone companies that we work with, who started back in 2014, and today they are ranked number 2 globally when it comes to the drone service provider category, operating already in 35 over countries. Capital Bay, again, fintech company. That's been able to raise $20 million recently through the Series A funding. Carsome is one of the largest car trading platforms in Southeast Asia. Cumulatively, in the last 3 years, they've raised over $85 million. So Andropi is a e-commerce B2B marketplace. One of the few Malaysian companies that made it into Y Combinator. And then, we've also got other companies in other areas such as Forest Interactive, which is a mobile technology company, and Soft Space, which is again a fintech company. And so, in a nutshell, is what we like to call it a land and expand offering to any interested startups that would like to come into Malaysia. We offer a very good location for you to be able to access the whole Southeast Asian market at a very conducive environment when it comes to lifestyle, cost, and so on, and couple that with government support from MDEC and other related agencies. Some of the other things that we are also looking to offer would be discounted co-working spaces at our digital hubs. Today, we've got 21 digital hubs as of today. Many of these digital hubs also have presence in other Southeast Asian countries as well. And as I mentioned, the other services that comes along with digital hubs would be business services for you to set up your company, to start operating, and then connecting you to mentors and networks for you either to raise money or to gain access to new business. Okay. So yeah, so that sums up what I wanted to share today. That's my contact information then. So if you have any queries, any questions, feel free to drop me an email and I'll get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. That was very informative. And may I remind the audience, whether you're from Hong Kong or Malaysia, if you have any questions with regard to Ryan's presentation or mine, please put your question in the Q&A box. Okay, well, thank you, Ryan, again. I'll see you in a second. All right, next will be 2 sharing sections by our young tech companies. First, we would like to welcome Mr. Issac Kow, CEO and co-founder of GoBuddy Hong Kong. He's actually from Malaysia, and he's been doing business in Hong Kong for quite many years. Over to you, Mr. Kow, or Kow.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. Let me share my screen. So I guess you can see my screen now. So hi everyone, so I'm Kow, I'm the CEO and co-founder of GoBuddy. So thanks for the chance to share with everyone today for like our go-to-market strategy, all right, in Hong Kong. So just a quick sharing about myself. So I'm a Malaysian myself, so I'm originally from Sabah, but I went to Hong Kong for my university education since undergraduate and the master, and I did civil engineering. So I managed over $1 billion of projects in Hong Kong and Singapore, and I love invention, so on and so forth, and then left my job and I started the business in 2018. So yeah, and then strong at project management, innovation, and also in different kind of tech deliveries as well. So I think a brief introduction about my company is we were actually established in 2019 in Hong Kong. We are a software licensing business. We offer total online business solution. And actually previously when we started, we first get funded like under the grants by Cyberport. It was a tribal platform in 2019. And then we quickly changed and transformed into a SaaS business. So co-founded by Malaysians. Is Malaysians, actually they are a team of like Malaysian investors, like my friends as well. They also invested in the company. And then we started as Cyberport CCMF grantee and incubatee. And last year we were also like the Malaysia's Global Accelerator Program in the court for. So we have pretty interesting experience in Hong Kong and in Malaysia. So I want to share something very interesting is like why Hong Kong? Like, yeah, a lot of people will share like why Hong Kong, but I will share something more personal, more on our experience. I think a lot of us we know it's actually a gateway to mainland China and also international market. In particular, from my experience and from my insight is East Asia and Southeast Asia. What we love about Hong Kong, we think is very special is because it's an open market and economy. To be honest, like when we work in Hong Kong here for businesses, I think it's very interesting that like it's a very transparent system. That means business is business. It's really focused on solutions, how we can offer very professional solutions for customers, and there's no much politics issues inside. And it's more business-friendly environment with many supports, like what Cyberport shared just now about the entire ecosystem. So that's a very great one. And this is something I see very interesting about Hong Kong is it's a very unique place for market testing and pivoting. Why? Because I experienced pivoting from B2C to B2B. And now we are focusing on B2B. We see it's very dynamic, like, but with two extremes in Hong Kong. It may not be a perfect place to test innovation, but it's really a perfect place to build business. That's what we see. So if you are to take on about B2C, if you are doing a B2C platform or B2C technology or B2C business, then there's a big consumer market here in Hong Kong because certainly Hong Kong is a consumer-driven market. That means you can easily test what the consumers are looking for. And they are willing to pay. They're pretty good spending power here in Hong Kong. And if you talk about B2B, if you want to test the B2B side, then there are actually a lot of really big enterprises and corporates with a lot of spending power here in Hong Kong. And you can do a lot of use cases and applications. And of course, you can also make a lot of government funding and support because a lot of these kind of enterprises, when they do their technical solutions, they might get the funding as well. And you can make your product up to a certain standard. So that's why I see it's a very unique place where you can test the market between B2B and B2C. And yeah, it will be really help you to up to a certain standard and you can grow easily. So something about my company. So basically we are a SaaS company, as said, software as a service company. We help to transform businesses from competition into collaboration online. So we offer our own software services, license our software and operation management services, focusing on driving collaboration and co-partnership. So last year we were also like AdWorks Accelerator Program in the Malaysia Gap Accelerator program, and in also Founder Institute in Silicon Valley as well. So we are also like a shared incubator of Cyberport in Hong Kong. So with solution we offer basically like for women, for different kind of MSE, micro, small businesses, and also corporate and enterprise solution. So we offer many different kind of modules for our customers in the entire total online business solutions, from e-shop, payment, booking, and currently we're also working for new projects in Singapore and Malaysia, while we have our business in Hong Kong. So yeah, we work with quite a number of Malaysian businesses in Hong Kong, to be honest. So you can see we help them like to build everything they need when they want to do digital businesses in Hong Kong. So we build for them, all right? So we have Malaysian Association of Hong Kong. These are some of our customers, and even like the North Borneo in Hong Kong. Our system also includes, like, say, if you want to do events, everything, and in-built webinar, we also have it with live shopping as well. And of course, with some apps. Yeah, these are some of the customer solutions. So a little bit personal about our real life experience. So for our go-to-market experience here in Hong Kong, when we first decided to build our business in Hong Kong in our phase 1, we firstly joined the Cyberport incubation program. And after we get incubated, we work on our businesses, then we join accelerator programs. And through this one, it helped us to understand a lot of the local needs and also do more like product localization through the features and pricing and engage with the local partners. Because like say in Cyberport incubation, it's very supportive because like they also support us with all those like the accelerator program as well, so that like we can get the financial support to expand our businesses. And also like, you know, like we do like joint venture with businesses here in Hong Kong, and we do like technical licensing, and we are being a system integrator and partner with many local startups here in Hong Kong as well, so that we can grow together and offer solutions together for our target customers as well. So you can see that in Hong Kong, like, it's very interesting that you can easily work with different kinds of startups, and people are really like, we are ready to do a lot of integrations together and do a lot of cross-selling with each other. And in Hong Kong, there are a lot of chambers. One of my ways to get into the Hong Kong market is I joined the Malaysian Chamber of Commerce. There are a lot of very famous Malaysian entrepreneurs, like traditional businesses in Hong Kong, like JW Marriott, like the Honor, and then the Plaza Premium, and even a lot of like those kind of investment firms. They're actually in Hong Kong, and they also like founded this Chamber of Commerce. And in here, we actually get to know how to get into the Hong Kong businesses and how to localize it and how to find more businesses to support our growth, like as a Malaysian business in Hong Kong. So people experience, I think, is also very unique because like our customers want to do business in mainland China and Southeast Asia. That means they're willing to share with us and explore opportunities with us to go to the market together. So it's not we want to grow ourselves, it's our customers also want to grow, so we can grow together. And in Hong Kong, there are a lot of young talents. That means when you come to Hong Kong, when you land here, there are a lot of like different kind of internship programs that can at least help you to easily get on board here and to support you with like some kind of talents, with some kind of manpower as well. So they will give you a lot of new insights, how to get into the market in Hong Kong, what they're looking for, how they consume, so on and so forth. And there are a lot of very nice university level entrepreneurship environment here in Hong Kong. So basically speaking here, like during the university study, we all have really a lot of university level entrepreneurship mindsets, a lot of experiences as well. So that's all for my sharing. And yeah, like we work together, we embrace each other's unique niche, and we deliver amazing results for everyone. So you can contact me anytime, and happy to discuss more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kow. I'm sure, you know, after this session, many from our audience from Malaysia will be in contact with you for your very important sharing and insights. All right, next up we have, well, thank you again, Mr. Kow. So we have Ms. Helen Tang, Senior Manager, the Do Group. Helen is based in Malaysia, and she'll be sharing with us the company's strategies and direction in Malaysia. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, Aaron. Let me share my screen. Right, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I have pleasure to share with you the journey of Do in Malaysia. So first of all, let me show you a little bit about the Do Group background. Okay, we were established in Hong Kong in 2014, and after years of development, we have become a large fintech motivated financial services group with multiple brands that develop in-house. So we are servicing the individual and institutional customers around the world. And currently, we have operated the financial trading licenses in the United States, United Kingdom, Mauritius, and Vanuatu, which with the operation centers based in Hong Kong, London, Dallas, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, and any other places you can see on the map. So who we are. So these are the few of the brands that we have. So DoTech is a software technology provider that's serving the financial industry. Well, DoPrime is the provider for the retail customers and professional traders like you and me, with the liquidity solutions with strong link to the DoTech Financial Data Center that strictly obey to the examinations system of the international banks. So we adhere to the rules and regulations highly in the local requirement. Well, for the Do Exchange, then a licensed foreign currency exchange that regulated by the Customs and Excise Department for Hong Kong. So we provide corporates and retail clients a full range of international money exchange services. So if you do need the services, you can come to us as well. So for Do Clearing is our liquidity providers based in the UK, which offers a comprehensive liquidity system. For example, like risk management, reporting, system health check, and for the brokers and traders. And then Do Financial is our new brand that is an online broker that offers a global brokerage services with financial instruments. So here we are for Do Technology Malaysia. So because many of the house brands that we built, that we definitely need a strong backbone for us. That's why we decided to set up a support hub in Malaysia. So Do Malaysia was incorporated in December 2018, and we started our operation only in August 2019. We have grown from 10 to more than 80 people in KL office within a year. So what's the purpose for us to set foot in Malaysia? Is to have a center that able to support our development activities, which inclusive of data, big data analysis, financial technology, obviously, is our core business. The cybersecurity that we are operating the security operations center for the safekeeping of the data for the groups. So also the data center and cloud to complement our tier 4 level data center and infrastructure hosted in Equinox, Hong Kong. And not to forget, of course, we need a technical support engineer to be specialized in the industry to support the group. Because our industry is very, very unique, the financial industry. So we need the people and with multilingual that are able to support us for the location that we are operating. So why we choose Malaysia as a hub for us? My boss has something to share with you. Yeah, please play the video for me. Thank you.
Hello, my friends. This is Vincent. I'm the founder and CEO of DoTech. In 2018, I have been to many Southeast Asia cities, including Manila, Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh City, Singapore, and Kuala Lumpur. And finally, we decided to choose Kuala Lumpur to set up our office and our headquarters in Southeast Asia, because we found that Kuala Lumpur has the most stable political environment among these countries, and we can easily to have those talents who can handle English, Mandarin, and Cantonese to serve our clients in different countries all around the world. Furthermore, the labor cost in Kuala Lumpur is only 50% of Hong Kong. Now we already have 80 people in our company in Kuala Lumpur office, which already become a very important part of our group company to serve internally and externally. Hello, my friends. This is
Oh, okay.
Apart from what my boss has been shared with you, I mentioned about the economical, labor, and operation costs with the competitive talent advantage. We not only can speak Malay, Chinese, Cantonese, English, and multi-dialect that we have cultured with. So we are able to source a lot of experts that can be found in the various functions such as sales, marketing, software, developers, technical support, and to back-end office like HR, finance, and compliance officers. They're able to help us to strengthen our force in the global market. So another thing is like Malaysia has a very friendly business setup environment. So it took us about less than 2 weeks to register and incorporate it, despite we have changes of the name in the middle. And the beauty of the setting up the company in Malaysia is we can have 100% foreign owned. So it's easier for us for entry into this market. Not to forget, the most important is the Malaysia has the strategic location that for us to easily reach out the other Southeast Asia countries. So we started from Malaysia and venture out to Singapore and Vietnam. And next move will be Thailand. So it helped us to develop very quickly within a year time. So this is what advantage that we have in Malaysia. Not to forget, of course, we have the support from MDEC. Being a year and young company in Malaysia, MDEC has given us a very supportive courage to, especially in the consultation and facilitation of the MDEC status application processes. Yes, so we can proudly and publicly announce that we are an MDEC status company. So despite we are young in the age in terms of company and also our talent, with this MDEC status, we are able to enjoy the 100% of the tax exemptions on the promoted activities, which is, it can help us in running our business in a more advantage than other companies that we have in Malaysia. MDEC do also provide us a spatial platforms that we can expedite in the IT foreign employment pass applications. So it's sort of spatial land to all the ICT companies, but not only for do itself, okay? So if you have the ICT company, we have this spatial land that shortens the time of the EP applications. And we also able to reach out and connect to the local talent tax ecosystem by the help of the MDEC. So this eases us a lot of the hassle to look out for the talent or sourcing for the talent that we need in this the technology and financial industry. And the official is very helpful. They constantly check in with us that offer assistance whenever it's necessary. So of course, in setting foot in Malaysia, we have challenges definitely. And what are preparations you need to prepare, which like understand the local regulations, the requirements is very important. So that we won't against the law, then we can provide a safe environment to the employee as well as to running our business. And also decide on the location for operations. So because in Malaysia, they have many designated offices that specially cater for the ICT companies with all the facilities that's fitting in, specially designed for us. So you can choose any locations on this listing that can help you to have the facility that it is. Another thing is like market focus and talent focus. So you might think that what kind of people that you need in Malaysia to complement the workforce or the team in the Hong Kong or other region that we are operating. So along the way for the past 1 year, we do face some challenges like cultural differences. Even though we are Chinese, but Malaysia has a lot of we have a lot of multicultural races in Malaysia. So we need to understand the differences and know to work together in harmony way. And well, for the working style, because a lot of the multinational companies are setting up in Malaysia, so with Chinese or working style is quite different from what we sort of the British or US style is very different. So these are the things that we have we have faced a little bit of problem when initial setup because we have no understanding about this culture. But along the way, we have learned and earned the trust and from the members of the employees, and we become a very, very good and a strong tie of the relationship in the working. The third thing is sourcing for talent. Of course, this sourcing for talent for IT talent is quite challenging at the beginning. But with the MDEC's help, we are able to get numbers of people that we want. So these are what I wanted to share today. So if you have anything you want to ask, feel free to reach to me at email and contact. And we are happy to help in terms of like setting up the company or financial technology kind of things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. I must say, we're very privileged to hear the sharings and views from both sides. Mr. Kow coming to Hong Kong, starting his businesses, and also Helen's company venturing into Malaysia. And that was fantastic. And thank you for all your sharing, Ryan, Mr. Kow, and Helen. All right, audience, we have come to our Q&A section. And please, Ryan, Mr. Kow, and Helen, please stay for the question from our audience. And let me see. Okay. Well, maybe the first one would be to Ryan, if you don't mind. Okay, just now you mentioned that the digital economy of Malaysia is accounted for currently 19.1 and is expected to be over 22, 23 in the next coming months or year. And I just do a quick check that for US it's only 9 to 10%. And what would be the driving force for such a high percentage for the Malaysian population? I'm sure MDEC is definitely one of the driving force. And what would be the other characteristics that that we are seeing, which makes up?
Right, Aaron? Sorry, lost you there for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me preface this. Yeah. So let me preface that by
the digital economy is accounted for. It's going to be 20-something percentage out of GDP. So what would be the driving force for such a high number?
Yeah. So so let me preface that. Those are statistics compiled by our Department of Statistics of Malaysia, which is official, where we get all the official data from. So how they did this is that they combine basically ICT products, services, and content together. So Malaysia being two things, right? So one of the things that we started out is that we have a very strong semiconductor industry here as well. All right. So obviously we don't play at a level of TSMC, but we do have a lot of companies that are contributing to the whole value chain of the semiconductor industry. And so that also contributes a significant portion of the digital economy when it comes to the statistical compilation. I think over and above that also is the digitalization drive that the government is going on. And for better or worse, we actually started this digitalization focus before the pandemic hit. So back in 2019, actually, a lot of grants were started to be given out by the government to encourage SME, small medium enterprises, to adopt digital solutions into their operations. And it wasn't necessarily looking at major complex systems to overhaul processes. It was really very much small targeted grants to get them started on simple things such as accounting systems, HR systems, payroll, POS, digital marketing. So all these was intended to start small medium enterprises to get started on digitalization and to get them used to the idea of that. So I think that's where a lot of the focus has been in the past few years. And obviously when we see the pandemic hit, that sort of paid dividends, right? Because we had already started socializing that idea to businesses, and everyone was more or less ready to transition. I think the other one is also a lot of investments into infrastructure. So one of the things that we also noticed when the pandemic hit and every country in almost every country in the whole world went into lockdown and sent back workers to work from home, right? What we found is that Malaysia, being one of the top three shared services call center operating countries in the world, when call centers sent employees back to work from home, they were still able to operate because they had the necessary infrastructure to continue working from home, as compared to some of the other countries which although may be ranked higher than Malaysia when it comes to shared services, but when it comes to infrastructure, the employees were not so ready and not so able to adapt to that. So I think that's also something that paid off during the pandemic. So I think those are some of the drivers that's driving this. And of course, as any government all over the world right now, we are trying to double down and to continue to drive this growth in digital economy. So I hope that is able to shine some light into this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ryan. And the next question is more for Mr. Kow. Okay, I'm pretty sure you just touched on likely your experience when starting your at that time, and how did you overcome those at the end?
So can you repeat again, like just now, because
can
it's
you share with us what kind of challenges that you face when you first came to Hong Kong and started your business?
Oh, I think it will be mainly the culture, because like culture in Hong Kong and culture in Malaysia is actually quite different. All right, like in Malaysia, it's more on hospitality. In Hong
we may have lost Mr. Kow for the moment. All right, well, let me switch with that. Let me come back to Mr. Kow in just a moment, and maybe the next question is for Helen. Okay, from our audience, he or she said, can you let us know your company's background before you came to Malaysia? Because the fact that you can just grow from 10 staff to 80, you probably already have the products necessary to get in a new business location. And maybe you can shed some light on that, Helen?
Okay, thank you for the questions. Yes, we do have our products on hands, like because we are the fintech developer. So we have the free cards and broker cards and social trading platforms that we already developed in our HQ in Hong Kong itself. So in Malaysia, we wanted to have the support hub. So with the product, we have to have the people that are able to service the customers. So with only the technology part, we are unable to go very, very far. So these are the one of the reasons we want to set foot in Malaysia. And on top of that, we also have the licenses in various countries which are highly regulated for the financial industry. So these are also all the products that we have. More on the IT part. So now we want to go for more on the B2C. Am I answer your questions?
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, Helen. Okay. I can see that Mr. Kow is back online. Okay. You were saying culture, right?
Yep.
I'm hoping that we people from Hong Kong give you an impression that we are friendly people to you. That would be your first impression, right, Mr. Kow?
Yeah, I think that's a very good one, because like when I first came to Hong Kong for this business, it was like then we asked a lot about like business views. All right, it's really on how to make business. Although like normally we pitch smart dreams, we have a lot of visions, but in Hong Kong it's more practical. So there's something on the culture that I think is very different. All right, and what they see here in Hong Kong. And secondly, it's about the network, I would say, because we need to rebuild, all right, the business network here in Hong Kong. And so that's the first challenge. is like say their Malaysian chamber, so it's easy to get connected with the business community here in Hong Kong and also in Cyberport. It's willing to help us to get into the Hong Kong market as well. Things that I see are two big challenges that we face when we need to land a business locally, but those are available here in Hong Kong.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kow. And I think the following two questions will be for Ryan from MDEC's perspective. Does foreigner have to be based in Malaysia in order to qualify for the ownership stake? I guess he's talking about the ownership of the company that he is establishing.
Yeah. So as far as I understand, no, you don't have to be. But if I'm not mistaken, I think there are requirements on the director that's appointed to be a director in the company needs to be residing in Malaysia. Yeah, so that's as far as I understand. But best to be able to check that with the necessary advisors. In this case, Malaysia will use what we call a company secretary to do this kind of incorporation. But that's as far as I know, that's what it is.
Okay, and then we also encourage the person who asked a question to drop Ryan an email just to confirm whether you are satisfied with the answer. And so the next question will be, he or she noted data center is a special focus activity in Malaysia, I guess. Is the construction of the data center granted special incentives in terms of land ownership, as in Thailand, EEC promotion and other tax incentives? I understand if you don't have the information on hand, we can definitely take it offline and then reply to the person who asked the questions.
Yeah, so this one, I think, because the nature of data center would be somewhat technical, because there's a lot of different regulatory bodies will be involved as well. So not just land, we will also need to talk to the Energy Commission and so on. But short answer is yes, there are tax incentives available for data center operations. There are certain incentives, or rather, there are certain incentives and arrangements when it comes to land. The issue with land may be also depending on where you want this to be located, and then we need to bring in the relevant authorities to come in too. Yeah. So, but short answer is yes. Yeah, and if you can drop me an email on that, and then we're happy to take that discussion further.
Okay, thank you. Here are two more questions for you, but they've been answered directly. But I'll read them out, both the question and the answer. So, what are the incentives, such as tax, the Malaysian government is providing to foreign investment in the technology sector? So, MDEC replied with a couple of websites, which we will provide to the audience as well later on via an email. Another question will be for foreign investor entity, can it be wholly foreign owned, or does it need to have a Malaysian majority ownership in order to operate in Malaysia? So that has been replied that a foreigner can register a private limited company in Malaysia with 100% foreign ownership. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Well, to Helen, you're being asked whether registering your IP in Malaysia is relatively easy. What do you need to register your software products there?
A good question for me. We haven't yet to register the IP in Malaysia yet, but we're taking the advantage from MDEC that we are able to establish this in the shorter time.
Okay. All right. So finally, one question for Cyberport. So when will the Cyberport partner zone open or be ready? That is still in the making, and we as soon as we have more details or updates, we will also let you know. Or later on, we'll have a slide of all the emails of the team here and you can drop me an email. And once we have the update, we'll send an email to you. Okay. Okay, this one is for Cyberport as well. So we are a fintech company in Malaysia looking to explore the Hong Kong market. Are there any current ongoing funding programs for establishing presence in Hong Kong? I believe we went through a couple of slides with the funding programs details. And the first thing is you may have to land in Hong Kong and register as a Hong Kong company. That would be one of the prerequisites towards applying for further funding programs in Hong Kong. And we do offer a variety of funding programs to anyone interested into explore Hong Kong as their market. And again, we will show you the email information later. Just drop me an email, we'll send you the appropriate information. Okay, any more questions from our audience? All right, well, I guess that will be it. Thank you again. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Mr. Kow, for your participation and your sharing, very informative sharing. And thank you also for the audience for joining this webinar. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.